They called her the Queen of Mean, but Leona Helmsley's rise from a Brooklyn girl to a ruthless real estate mogul is as shocking as her downfall. Her hunger for power turned into arrogance, leading to one of the most infamous tax evasion scandals of the 20th century. How does someone go from ruling over New York's elite hotels to serving time in prison? This is the story of Leona Helmsley, the maid-turned-millionaire whose legacy of scandal and excess still fascinates the world today. The humble beginnings. Leona Helmsley, born as Lena Mindy Rosenthal on July 4, 1920, started her life far from the glitzy heights she would one day scale. Growing up in Brooklyn, her father was a polished Jewish immigrant who made a modest living as a hat maker, while her mother stayed home to care for Leona and her siblings. The family moved several times, and Leona attended Abraham Lincoln High School but dropped out after only a few years. As a young girl, she took odd jobs, including selling Eskimo pies at Coney Island to help her family make ends meet. Her early experiences with poverty and hard work would fuel her later ambition to rise above her modest beginnings. Little did anyone know, this girl from Brooklyn would one day control a billion-dollar real estate empire and become infamous as one of New York's most feared and powerful women. From secretary to real estate queen, Leona's entry into the workforce was unremarkable at first. She took a job as a secretary at Pease & Elliman, a real estate firm in Manhattan. But she quickly proved herself to be ambitious and ruthless in pursuit of success. She changed her name to Leona Roberts and earned her real estate broker's license. By the late 1960s, she was already making headlines in the New York real estate scene, reportedly earning $400,000 in commissions in a single quarter in 1968. She became known for converting rental apartments into condominiums, a lucrative niche in a city where real estate was a cutthroat business. Despite her professional success, Leona's personal life was tumultuous, marked by multiple marriages before she met Harry Helmsley, the man who would catapult her into the highest echelons of New York's real estate elite. Marrying into the empire, Leona's life took a dramatic turn when she met Harry Helmsley, a multimillionaire real estate mogul in the late 1960s. The two fell in love, and Harry eventually divorced his wife of 30 years to marry Leona in 1972. It wasn't just a romantic relationship, it was a business partnership that would see Leona become the face of Helmsley Hotels, an empire worth billions. Under Harry's tutelage, Leona learned the ropes of the hotel business and quickly rose to prominence as the president of Helmsley Hotels Incorporated. Their properties included some of the most iconic buildings in New York City, such as the Empire State Building and the Helmsley Palace Hotel. Together, they became one of New York's most powerful couples, enjoying a life of unimaginable luxury. They owned multiple homes, including a lavish penthouse overlooking Central Park. But their marriage wasn't without controversy, as rumors swirled that Leona had pressured Harry to marry her after losing 20 pounds. The rise of the Queen of Mean. Leona Helmsley soon gained a reputation for her ruthless and exacting management style. As the president of Helmsley Hotels, she ruled with an iron fist, demanding perfection from her employees and firing anyone who failed to meet her high standards. It was during this time that she earned the nickname Queen of Mean, a title she embraced, even as it alienated those around her. Leona's insistence on luxury and elegance was legendary. She once famously said, "I won't settle for skimpy towels. Why should you?" However, her sharp tongue and dictatorial management style often crossed the line from demanding to abusive. Employees, contractors, and even executives lived in fear of her unpredictable temper. Her ruthless reputation was cemented in the public's mind during her 1989 tax evasion trial, where she was accused of uttering the now infamous line, "We don't pay taxes, only the little people pay taxes." A lavish life, from the penthouse to prison. Leona's personal life was as extravagant as her business empire. She owned a 9-room penthouse overlooking Central Park, a sprawling $11 million mansion in Connecticut, and a mountaintop retreat in Arizona. Their annual parties, including the famous I'm Just Wild About Harry Gala, were the stuff of New York social legend. But beneath the glamorous exterior, Leona was entangled in questionable financial dealings. By the late 1980s, it was revealed that the Helmsleys had evaded more than $4 million in taxes, writing off personal expenses as business costs. These included a $1 million dance floor and a $130,000 sound system for their Connecticut mansion, as well as smaller items like a $12.99 girdle, which Leona labeled a uniform for her hotel. Her flagrant disregard for the law, combined with her notorious reputation, set the stage for one of the most sensational criminal trials of the decade, the infamous trial. In one of the most sensational legal spectacles of the 1980s, Leona Helmsley faced trial on multiple charges of tax evasion. The trial became a media circus, with the public eagerly following every detail. Her husband, Harry Helmsley, avoided prosecution by being declared mentally unfit to stand trial, leaving Leona to face the charges alone. Witnesses, including former employees, described her tyrannical management style, painting a vivid picture of a woman driven by greed and power. One of the most damaging pieces of testimony came from a former housekeeper, who claimed Leona had infamously said, "We don't pay taxes. Only the little people pay taxes." Although Leona denied making the statement, it epitomized the arrogance that had become her public persona. Her behavior in the courtroom didn't help her case, as she came off as cold, calculating, and unrepentant. The trial not only exposed her financial crimes, but also solidified her image as the Queen of Mean in the eyes of the public, from queen to convict. In 1992, Leona Helmsley was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison after being convicted of tax evasion. The judge, unimpressed by her claims that prison would severely impact her health, handed down a harsh sentence. Even her own lawyer, in an attempt to humanize her, referred to her as a tough bitch in court, a strategy that did little to garner sympathy. During her time behind bars, Leona's personality didn't change. She reportedly paid fellow inmates in cigarettes to clean her cell, maintaining the same domineering attitude that had made her infamous in the outside world. Despite these efforts to exert control, Leona spent 21 months behind bars before being released early for good behavior in 1994. Her time in prison, while brief, marked the dramatic fall from grace of a woman who once ruled a real estate empire worth billions. Post-prison life. The final years of the Queen. After serving her prison sentence, Leona returned to a world where her empire was still intact, though significantly reduced. Her husband, Harry Helmsley, passed away in 1997, leaving her a fortune that included holdings like the Empire State Building. Despite her wealth, Leona spent much of her later years in isolation, cut off from the social circles that once courted her. Perhaps most famously, she left $12 million in her will to her dog, Trouble, while disinheriting several family members, a final act that epitomized her unapologetic extravagance. This act caused a media frenzy, further cementing her legacy as a woman who valued material wealth above all else. Even after death, Leona's decisions were controversial, sparking legal battles over her will and the vast fortune she left behind, a legacy of wealth and notoriety. Leona Helmsley passed away in 2007 at the age of 87, leaving behind a complicated legacy. To some, she was a trailblazer, a woman who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful real estate moguls in New York City. To others, she will always be remembered as the Queen of Mean, a woman whose greed and cruelty overshadowed her accomplishments. Despite her reputation, Leona's vast fortune was channeled into philanthropy through the Helmsley Charitable Trust, which continues to fund health and medical research initiatives. Ironically, despite her disdain for the little people, the trust has donated billions to causes that benefit the public. Her name remains synonymous with both immense wealth and ruthless ambition, ensuring that she will not soon be forgotten. The ultimate irony, from rags to riches. Leona Helmsley's life story is a classic rags to riches tale, but with a twist. Born into poverty, she clawed her way to the top of the New York real estate world, becoming one of the richest women in America. However, her insatiable greed and harsh treatment of others led to her eventual downfall. Leona's story is filled with contradictions. She was a woman who shattered the glass ceiling in a male-dominated industry, but did so with a ruthlessness that alienated nearly everyone around her. In the end, she became both a symbol of success and a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and arrogance. Thanks for watching. If you found Leona Helmsley's wild rise and fall as fascinating as we did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on Leona's legacy, queen or villain. Let us know. See you in the next one.